Hey, good morning. Give me just a minute to get everybody on here. I know I saw a few more waiting on me. There we go. Okay, all right, good morning. Give me just a minute to get everybody on here. For some reason, my computer kept kicking me off the internet this morning and it wouldn't ever let me get it started. So, okay. I think I still got one or two that are trying to jump on, so I'll just grab them as they get on here. Okay, so a couple of things. So good morning and happy election day. And I know you can't see it, but I've got my voting like a girl shirts. Don't forget that today marks the centenary, the 100th year anniversary of the 19th Amendment and women getting the right to vote. So whoop, whoop. So of course that obviously is exciting news for today. And I got busy because I had some emails I was working on this morning, and I meant to do it before now. So of course I will post it as soon as we finish ASAP. But to kind of, I don't know, force you guys to get a little bit more involved in the big election, if you are interested, I'm going to offer an extra credit opportunity, 10 points on your lowest test, quiz, or project if you do a little map and color it in as each state turns either red or blue in the election this evening. So that kind of depends, you know, can you stay up past 7? You know, for a lot of polling on the East Coast, it's not going to stop until after 7 p.m. And of course, if you know time zones, you know that you're going to have to wait until 9, 10, even after 10 o'clock for other polling locations across the United States to close and to start throwing out which way their state is going. So if you've watched any, everybody is making their own predictions, obviously. There's a lot of states that it's going to be really close in. There's a lot of states that are considered swing states. And if you don't know what a swing state is, that just means that they're not dedicated to one political party. You know, they don't vote straight Democrat every year, or they don't vote straight Republican. There are a couple. The big ones, obviously, California, which brings in 35 electoral votes. California is always going to go Democrat, just like New York. And New York is another state that's got electoral votes. Those two are always going to swing Democrat. And there's predictions. There's a possibility that Texas, which has always been a hardcore red state, a hardcore Republican state, there's actually been talk that Texas might not go Republican this year. So we shall see. North Carolina is in the top 5 swing states. So everybody's going to watching North Carolina, watching Pennsylvania, watching Florida. Those are 3 out of the big 5 that everybody's watching. And depending on how those states go, could seal the election. So happy election day. If you're interested, like I said, I'm going to throw out that to everybody. Everybody across the board will have that opportunity. If you're interested and you think that you could use some extra credit points on a test, a quiz, or a project, and you get to decide where they go. You get to decide how it gets used if you're interested. Okay. All right. Now, a couple of things. Number 1, today is also the due date for part 1 of your World War II project. Remember, today you have 3 options. All right. You can do a propaganda poster, a timeline, or a postcard, but you got to pick 2. even though you can do two of the same thing. You can do two postcards, you can do two propaganda posters, and then you, like I said, you got the timeline as another option. So appetizer is due today, and then after that, start working on your main course. On your main course where you do the PowerPoint, you can either focus on one topic or you can have a different topic for every slide. So if you want a couple slides to be about the Holocaust, a couple slides about the war, a couple slides about Pearl Harbor, a couple slides about the Manhattan Project, whatever, okay? You can do different topics or you can focus on just one. So that's another, another option, okay? All right, now in your unit packets, we are doing 21-4 today, which is another fill in the blank. So it won't take us but just a few minutes to go through this. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything about the World War II project or anything else, really? Just want to make sure I ask before we get going. No, okay. All right, let's go ahead and knock it out in the packet. I think there actually might be 2 pages that we'll look at in the packet today, and then we'll get rolling. Okay, all right, 21-4, fill in the blank, here we go. All right, number 1 says the Allied invasion of Normandy. No, North France. What am I saying? North Africa. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place in my thinking today. Number 1 is North Africa. We really don't spend a whole lot of time talking about the fact that we are other places other than the Pacific and in Europe, but we actually, and I wish I had a map that I could show you. Okay, so you think about where Italy is, and then you've got the Mediterranean Sea up underneath Italy, and then under the Mediterranean Sea is North Africa. So actually, we talked about him yesterday, Erwin Rommel, who they call the Desert Fox, who is a German commander. So we actually have German forces, part of the Africa Corps, that is in Northern Africa. And we're going to send in forces to pretty much take them and chase them all the way into Italy and into Europe. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a visual of what's happening. So anyway, number 1, the Allied invasion of North Africa. That's answer number 1. In November of 1942, had shown that a large-scale invasion from the sea was possible. So again, we are chasing the Germans and Italian forces. We're chasing them back up, and we're going to call Italy the soft underbelly. So we're chasing them through Italy up into Europe. All right, number 2 says, among the agreements reached at the Casablanca Conference. That's a lot to put in one blank. I get that, okay? All right, let's spell it out. Casablanca, C-A-S-A-B-L-A-N-C-A, Casablanca. So if you know your Spanish, you know that Casablanca is talking about White House, right? Not like White House here in Washington, D.C. No, it just means house that is white. Okay, so Casablanca Conference is your answer for number 2. That was this decision to step up the bombing of Germany, okay, which we realize that Germany, like all countries, does still have a large number of civilians, and we try and make sure that during a time of war that we are not doing anything that could put civilian lives in jeopardy. But sometimes it is a necessary evil, you know, especially if you're trying to end this war and do it as quickly as possible. All right, number 3 says the bombing campaign between January of 1943 and May of 1945 caused a severe oil shortage in Germany, excuse me, that wrecked their railroad system. That's your answer. Railroad system for number 3. All right, so 3 is railroad system. Number 4 says the Italian campaign was one of the bloodiest in the war, costing more than 300,000. That's your answer. 300,000. Costing more than 300,000 Allied casualties. Number 5 says, at the Terrain Conference and with Churchill and Roosevelt, Stalin promised to launch a full-scale invasion. Again, I know it's a lot for one blank. Full-scale invasion for number 4. Full-scale invasion. Oh, no, that was 5. Sorry, that was number 5. Full-scale invasion for number 5 against the Germans when the Allies invaded France in 1944. Number 6 says Stalin also promised that once Germany was on defeat or was defeated, the Soviet Union would help against Japan. That's your answer. Against Japan. All right. Number 7, President Roosevelt chose General Eisenhower. General Eisenhower. And I'll help you spell his name. All right. Eisenhower. Eisenhower. So General Eisenhower is going to be put as our commanding general over the war in Europe. And fun fact, he's also going to be future president. He's going to be president during most of the 1950s, from 1952 until 1960. And he's a phenomenal president, does a great job. Okay. All right, moving on. Next, number 8, the Germans believed that the Allies would land in, I'm just going to have to spell this out for you because, again, I told you my German wasn't really good and my French really isn't good either, but they're going to land in what they call Pas de classe. All right, I'm just going to spell it. That'd make it easier. Okay, it's 3 words. First word is P-A-S, pas. Second word, D-E, pas de, and then I'm probably butchering this last word, but it's Calais, C-L-A-I-S. C-L-A-I-S, which is the area of France closest to Britain. All right, number 9 says on June 6, 1944, we have nearly 7,000. Write that down, 7,000. We have nearly 7,000 ships carrying more than 100,000, that's your second blank, 100,000 soldiers that set sail from the coast of Normandy. So this is D-Day. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. June 6, 1944 is D-Day, also known as Operation Overlord, to where British, American, and actually Canadian soldiers as well stormed the beaches of Normandy so that we can liberate France from the German forces and put the German forces on retreat back into Germany. Okay. Number 10 says American troops came under intense German fire and suffered heavy losses after their landing at Omaha Beach. Omaha Beach. And that's O-M-A-H-A Beach. Omaha Beach. So we've got a couple of landing spots. Again, if you go through my Google slide presentation about the one that says War in Europe, that's what we're looking at now, it'll show you a map of the 3 different beaches that we land at in France. Okay, next, number 11, I think. No, hold on. While the buildup for invading France was taking place in Britain, American military leaders were also developing a strategy to defeat Japan. That's your answer. Japan for number 11. All right, 12 says the first part of America's two-pronged attack on Japan called for the Pacific Fleet. Pacific Fleet. Pacific, P-A-C-I-F-I-C. Pacific Fleet. To hop from one island to the next. So we're doing more fighting on water out in the Pacific than we are on land. But we are going to do what we call island hopping, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow when we look at the war with Japan. So we are literally hopping and following them. We're going from Okinawa to Iwo to Midway to, I mean, we're hopping on all these little islands, pretty much chasing the Japanese back to the main island of Japan. Okay, where are we at now? All right, 13. The geographical problem with the Central Pacific was that many of the islands were too small. Many of the islands were too small. And what I mean by that is that they're not big enough for us to have an actual physical land battle. And that's why most of these battles end up being battleship against battleship. So there you go. All right, last two, number 14 says, American military planners wanted to use the Marina Islands, and I'll spell that for you. Marina, M-A-R-I-A-N-A. Marina Islands as a base for a new heavy bomber that could reach Japan. Okay, and number 15. The Battle of Leyte Cove, or Gulf, I'm sorry, was the first time that the Japanese used kamikazes. Kamikazes. If you know what a kamikaze is, you've already done the definition. A kamikaze is a suicide pilot. And I'm going to spell that for you. That's another tough one. All right, here we go. K-A-M-I-K-A-Z-E. Kamikaze. So the whole thing, and these pilots knew in advance if they were suicide pilots. And you really have to understand Japanese culture as to why they would agree to do this. Like, why would somebody volunteer and sign up to know that it's a one-way mission? To know that your job is to fire all the bullets, drop all the bombs that your plane has, and then you take your plane and you aim it into the biggest target possible, and you drive your plane into the heart of it, and your plane is going to be the last weapon. And so again, Japanese culture, Asian culture, it is believed that if you give the ultimate sacrifice, which is your life, right? If you give the ultimate sacrifice, you bring honor and glory to your family and to your country. Which is another reason why they don't believe in being caught. They don't believe in surrendering. Like, if you know that you're about to be surrounded by the enemy, you are to actually take your own life, because they don't believe in being captured and such thing as being prisoners of war. So anyway, okay, all right. Does anybody need one repeated on 1 through 15? Is there one that anybody missed?
I missed the first one on number 9.
Whoop, say it again. Which number?
Number 9.
Number 9. The first one is 7,000. All right. Any others?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to do the last page tomorrow in your packets. And then what you have left is to do your timeline, which won't take you but a few minutes to do your timeline activity. And then if you go to that first page, which I think it's the first page for you guys, but it says reteaching activity, and you've got to match the location with the description of the battle. We're going to work on that together. We're going to do a couple of days, or a few today, a few tomorrow, and then you've got the remainder of the week to get everything else done. Okay, so we're just going to jump around. Okay, so let's go to your first page, that reteaching activity. Let's see, let's do number one. We actually talked about number one yesterday, if you guys remember this. Number one says thousands of Allied prisoners of war died on a march to Japanese prison camps. And that is C. That's known as the Bataan Death March. So your answer for number one is C. And you only use these once. So as you use it, mark it out. Okay. So number one is C. All right. Let's see. Jump down to number 4. We haven't talked about number 4 a whole lot yet. Scientists with the Manhattan Project developed the atomic bomb in this secret location. And this secret location is D. The answer for number 4 is D. Los Alamos, New Mexico. They're going to be testing small, super small atomic bombs out in the desert of New Mexico. So if you didn't know that already, there's your fun fact. Okay, let's do, we'll do 2 more. We'll do 2 more and then we'll keep going with it tomorrow. Let's see. Jump down to 12. Speaking of Europe and Italy, jump down to 12. 12 says, after the Allied forced the Germans out of this island, the King of Italy was arrested Mussolini and negotiated peace for the Allies. And number 12 is Sicily. So 12 is E. 12 is E. All right, let's do 11. Seeking to destroy the Soviet economy, Hitler attempted to capture this strategic city, and the Soviet forces trapped the German troops, turning the momentum against the Third Reich. Number 11 is talking about Stalingrad. So number 11 is B, Stalingrad, the Battle of Stalingrad. That was a major turning point for the war in Europe, for sure. Okay. We'll do one more. Why not? Why not? Let's do one more. Okay, let's do, all right, let's do 7. We talked about 7. Let's do number 7. Despite suffering high casualties during this beach invasion, the Allies successfully carried out Operation Overlord on D-Day. And where we say, but they were storming the beaches of what in France? Which one is it? Who's being an extra good listener?
Or Normandy, right?
Was that Normandy?
Normandy. Yeah, I'm sorry. I could hear somebody. It just wasn't really loud. It might be my computer. But yeah, the answer is I, Normandy. I, Normandy. Good. Okay. We got started on it. We can wrap up tomorrow. So we'll finish this page tomorrow. We'll finish the last page in your packet tomorrow. You can take care of the timeline page because it won't take you but a couple of minutes to complete. You'll have your packet done. And like I said, you're just defining terms. There's no section questions for this because I am giving you other fun stuff like your World War II project, right? Woo! No? No happy jazz hands? No? Okay. All right, let's see how it is. Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, what questions, comments, concerns, what do we have before we wrap up? What do we got?
I don't have anything.
All right, everybody's good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. Happy Election Day. Representing the 19th Amendment today as well. Whoop, whoop. All right, so I will post it out there and remind everybody, if you're interested, you do have an extra credit opportunity today. And then we will see each other again tomorrow. All right, sounds good. All right, bye guys.
Bye.